I write and I sing electropop music. So it's pop music, but it leans electro versus a more live sound. And I'm I write about usually dark themes. I'm an intense girly, and so that emotion is usually what's driving behind all the stuff that I write. Thank you. I appreciate that. I've just had a lot of different kinds of life experience, and it was just kind of how life threw itself at me. So it's a to me, like, it's a layering effect. Like it all the different pieces inform each other. It helps me to sort of understand myself better and the world better when all of the different pieces are, like, if I've been through something else in a different part of my life, and it's just a much deeper well to sort of access artistically. I think it really makes my life better to have all those different pieces, but it also, I think, makes my art better. Yeah, I agree. And I think that there's a lot of great artists that a lot of people out there don't really know that that's electropop. It's pop music that leans on electronic instrumentation and production. And that's all over what you're listening to on all the streaming platforms and all the radio and whatever. And I do think that when you hear electropop, there is a tendency to assume that's a certain kind of music when it's such a broad genre. And there's just a lot of vulnerability in a lot of the lyricism of electropop artists. And I think that, yeah, for sure that can get overlooked because people are assuming something else. Walking on a dream. Well, so if we're talking about dance pop, I mean, Charli XCX has been the hero of the last year, and she has a bunch of songs on Brat that are incredibly vulnerable. She talks about trying to decide whether she's waiting too late to have a child. She talks about grief and the death of one of her closest friends and artistic, collaborators. Even like a song like Apple, where everybody is like doing the dance on TikTok. It's about like stuff that's passed down through generational trauma. And so it's like, that sort of thing. So in terms of what music I really gravitate to, like, I love artists like Charli, but I'm super into lots of different genres because, again, I think you can hear in my different music, like, different influences. I'm obsessed with Doechii. I love, Lady Gaga just dropped her album. So, like, there's just a wealth of great music out there right now. I'm trying to think of what male artists are on my top 10.
Yeah, this year is a powerful year for women. They're taking over. They really are.
Yeah, I'm really not sure. I got to think about that. How can I explain? Gold Edge Tongue and sort of the lyric Gold Edge Tongue, but the rest of you is black and white, came to me one day when I was writing. And I just thought, I was thinking about, whatever was going on in my life at the time. And it's about those people that we all know. They're manipulative. They're like these charming liars that will use their words to lure you in and then cut you with it. And you don't even know you're wounded until after. And I think that we spend a lot of time in our life being controlled by people where if you get past the words and past the flash, there's not really much underneath that. They're not as powerful, or as interesting as you might have thought. And so I kind of like went off of that sort of theme in writing about the perspective shift that happens when you're like completely under that spell, and it can make you feel either huge or small, and then you get free of it and you see what's actually under the surface, and there's not much there, and there's such a freedom in that, in really recognizing that for what it is. Like, I see you, I get you. Talking to myself. It's one of those things where like words are just words, yet they are so powerful. They can make such an impact on us. And so to me, the ways to combat that are to reconnect with yourself, because that's where the real truth is. And also, I'm a big believer in the impact of energy. And I've experienced it so many times in my life where when I was just able to remove myself from wherever that energy was coming from, you know, we've all had those, you know, whether it's a romantic like partner or a toxic friend or the politicians screaming at us through our screens all day, every day, like just separating yourself from that and reconnecting with you allows you to sort of shift, I think, and to try to really examine like where your mindset and your worldview are coming from. And if it's not from in here, then to try to adjust it, even if it's just little by little. Yeah. And I really, like I meditate, but also sometimes like, I think that having like a lot of tools is important. And for me, being outside is really grounding. And so even if I can't break away from screen or whatever, if it's just for a little bit to just go be outside in the air and the sun next to something tangible, to me that helps. See you again. We are always running for. I think, like I was saying, like honestly, there's many. I feel like, you know, I've had bad partners. I've had toxic friends. I've had terrible bosses. I've had people in my screens that influenced what I was believing about the world or about myself. And then something changes and shifts, and you're just like, oh, okay, that's not it. That doesn't work for me anymore. And so I think that there's many is really the honest answer. I have a lot of different life experiences, like we were talking about earlier. Yeah, I mean, I think I said it then, is that like all of the different pieces of my life, whether they're all happening now or they're bits and pieces from my past lives, sort of, they layer upon each other, and they inform each other. They build. They allow me to sort of build the work that I'm doing, the art that I'm doing. So I kind of just feel like if I didn't have all of the different life experiences that I have had and am continuing to sort of pursue, my art would be different. Like, it makes my art better to pull from and to better understand myself and what's going on in the world. When I can come from a place where I understand what it's like to work a corporate job, I understand what it's like to be a mom in a family that's together and in a family that's not together. I understand what it's like starting pursuing this career that I've always wanted to do, but I got off the path and had to come back to it a little bit later. I get all of that sort of difficulty, and I think that creates a lot of emotion. And I think a lot of my art comes from a lot of my music, and my, like, the deepest songwriting that I do comes from accessing that emotion that's around all of those different life experiences and joys and pain.
The thrill of it, always pushing up the hill, searching for the.
I listened to, this is like a universal experience being a woman, I think. Like, I listened to so many rules about who I was supposed to be, where my value came from, what I needed to do to be loved, to belong, to be cool and interesting and respected. I listened to a lot of that stuff, and that is really, honestly, what got me off the path is listening to all those other voices that crowded out my own voice and what I wanted to do for myself. And so I think there's a don't lose yourself aspect. You don't have to follow those rules. They're made up. All you have to do is walk through them and they just disappear. But there's also the aspect of that is kind of part of the human experience, living in this culture and living, especially as a woman or any group that is sort of told to be in a particular box. And so to just remember that it's not ever really too late, and you can always circle back. You can always do it again. You can always come back to it. It is hard, and it's hard to always know what is the right thing to do, and just listen to yourself and try not to be hard on yourself. And whatever you decide will be right, because it will end up being what it's supposed to be. Yeah. Like, I could not, if I had been doing pop music when I was 21 and releasing all of these same songs, they wouldn't have been these songs. They would have been different, because I would be a different person. And so, whatever path we end up on is okay.
The thrill of it, on and on we are, call it out again.
Within the industry, I think that it's life that then plays itself out in the music business. I think in general, it's, let me say, I think that it's just in general hard to be taken seriously sometimes. Like, I get that need for things to be perfect and to not make mistakes is like a really strong pressure that is honestly the opposite of what it takes to make any sort of art, whether you're making music or another kind of art, because you have to just keep trying things and listening to what that song wants to be or whatever it wants to be. And that's not always perfection. So I don't know. I think I said a lot about, like, I think that all of the stuff related to this dream that you have, that's too hard. That's that's never going to happen. That's impossible. I think all of that stuff that I listened to in the early stages of my career, before I, started family and was doing corporate jobs to make money, like that sort of stuff permeates everything. The who does she think she is sort of stuff is a constant battle. And I do think that female, whether it's pop or anything else, but especially pop genres, you have all of the beauty standard stuff that goes into that is, well, you have to be more this way, but oh wait, that's too much. Oh, be less that. Oh wait, that's not enough. It's all of that stuff is very much woven in all of that. Yes, and there's so much involved in being an artist these days that goes beyond singing and writing, and that can be really all encompassing. You know, it's multiple jobs.
Never looking at him, just to know what's inside of me.
If you go through the label system, that's a certain way that you can go about releasing your music and connecting with people who will connect to your music. And that for a long time was the only way. Mm-hmm. And that's a lot fewer people that have that the world gets to hear, that the world gets to know. And we're so diverse, you know, that it's just so limiting when you have, you know, a handful of mostly men who are deciding who the world gets to hear. And so I very much appreciate that when I decided I want to do this, I didn't need to go through a label to do it. Mm-hmm. That because I can put out my own music and I can hire my own people who believe in me that aren't just on the label's team, that makes for a better situation. It also means that everybody's doing that. And so it does make it a little bit harder to connect with the people that you want to reach. But I do think that that's good in terms of like being able to release music. Not that the business model is still not great, but yeah, you know, we're still living in the culture we're in. And so you still have to deal with all that bias. But yeah, I think that if you have the desire and the drive to create that, you can do it. I don't know that it's genre specific. Yeah. It's just all of that same stuff that we've been talking about. You know, you're expected to be perfect, but then also authentic. And you're expected to be like, there's a lot of that too much, not enough stuff that shows up in different places. But my fans are really cool, and I really appreciate, like, I don't have a lot of that. I do get some of it, but for the most part, I'm just trying to express myself and to connect to the people who are going through or have been through, or like I'm just trying to connect with people who were like me at some stage, and to like express all of the emotion that just wants to flow through me and into something else. I'm still working on that, but I do think that being a whole person helps me, like, and when I say a whole person, having all the other parts of my life help me not to get too burnt out in one area. That makes me feel like a whole human being, and keeps me really grounded also, and, you know, makes the art better. As it can be really hard to manage, but when it makes my life better and my art better, then I'll just keep juggling it. Yeah. I've got a kick-ass music video for this song coming out. This probably just working on Final Cut right now, so I can't tell you exactly when, but music video for Gold Edge Tongue incoming. And then I've got 3 more tracks coming, probably all in the next, probably into the summer. Yeah. And I'm really excited about that. More music videos. And then I'm gonna go away and do some more writing and make some more music for the end of the year. Yeah, they're good from a, like, I'm just really excited about them. I think that they there's a little bit of, there's one that's like super sort of night drivey, vibey, and then there's like a really upbeat but a little bit more of a happier, blissed out tune. I think this is like some really good variety in there. They kind of, so if you look at all of my different songs, you can kind of see all the different aspects of who I am.